Hi third graders, welcome to lesson 9.5. It's called multi-digit multiplication. You see I have day 1 written on there. This is a 2-day lesson. Today you're going to watch the video and work through the pages in your math journal. And tomorrow, which is day 5, I have in your folder a couple extra practice pages that go along with this skill. But first, let's do some mental math. I have two numbers here, 38 and 63. And what I need you to do on your whiteboard is to break apart each number into two or more numbers that you can add together. So for example, 38, I could break that apart into 30 plus 8. Sorry about that, my marker didn't work very well. Or I could also go 30 plus 4 plus 4. So I want you to break apart 63 on your whiteboard. How did you break apart 63? Maybe you went 60 plus 3, or maybe you went 30 plus 30 plus 3. There's lots of different ways that you can do this type of activity. Now I have two 3-digit numbers. Show two different ways that you can break apart each number into two or more add-ins. So how could you break apart 356? Well, maybe you could go 300 plus 56. What else could you do? Well, I could go 300 plus 50 plus 6. How would you do 580? Maybe 500 plus 80. Or 200 plus 300 plus 80. Or maybe 500 plus 40 plus 40. There are many different ways that you could break apart both of these 3-digit numbers into two or more add-ins. Okay, good job. So we're going to work on our math message right now, and I need you to get your math journal and turn to page 286. So it looks a little bit like this. Mine's enlarged, and I have just one problem on it, and that's okay. So you have a rectangle garden on the right hand side that's called Jonah's garden. So Jonah's garden is a rectangle with 16 rows for plants. Let's count those rows. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 16 rows. Now he wants to plant two sections in his garden. He wants one that has 10 rows of carrots and the other with 6 rows of beans. Your task is to partition the rectangle, and the word partition we've used many times this year in math. Partition means to divide or to separate. So you need to partition that rectangle into two sections. One section that would hold his carrots, one section that would hold his beans, and label the sections carrots and beans to show where he's planting those in his garden. Pause the video while you work that out, while you figure that out in your math journal, and then come back. Okay, so here's how I did it. I partitioned his garden. I have 6 rows for beans, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then I have my dividing line right here where I partitioned it, and I labeled it beans. And then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rows for his carrots, and I labeled it carrots. Okay, pretty easy to do. Now I want you to look at number 2. Now Jonah can plant 9 seeds in each of his rows. So if he plants 9 seeds into all 16 rows, because that's how many rows there are, we counted. how many seeds can he plant altogether? And it says to show your work. So let's think about what we know. We know there are 16 rows, and he wants to plant 9 in each row. So we need to find out how many seeds he can plant altogether. Now, when you look at the page for number 2, there's not another garden there. Now, I know you could go up to the one above and count every little square that's there, but we're going to work on a new strategy to do that same thing, and it's really kind of simple. So I know I drew myself a rectangle here. You could do it in your space for number 2. And I know that there's 16 rows here, and I know that I can plant 9 in each row. So when I look at the number 16, I know that's a double-digit number. So I could separate that into 2 different addends, just like we were doing in our mental math. So when I think of 16, I think of 6 and I think of 10. So I'm going to go ahead and partition that. I'm not going to draw little bitty squares. I'm just going to partition 6 and 10 for 16, okay? And then the 9, because I can plant 9 in each row. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that 6 that I took away from that I separated from 16, and I'm going to go 6 times 9, because that's 6 rows with 9 in each row, and that's a basic fact, and that's 54. Then I know I have 110. I partition that. So I'm going to take my 10, and I'm going to multiply it by the 9 in each row, and I get 90. So I know in my 6 rows up here, I can plant 54 seeds, and my 10 rows at the bottom, I can plant 90 seeds. So then I need to take my 54 and the 90 and add that together. 4 plus 0 is 4. 5 tens plus 9 tens is 14 tens, or 140. So I can plant, or Jonah can plant 144 seeds. So we're going to take our knowledge of taking our addends and writing them into 2, or taking our bigger numbers and writing them into 2 addends, separating them, partitioning those numbers to help us solve some multiplication problems where I'm multiplying a 2-digit number by a 1-digit number. All right, so here's a problem. Meg bought 7 boxes of crackers, and each box had 62 crackers. How many crackers did Meg buy? Well, the number model that would go with that is 7 times 62. Well, holy macaroni and cheese, I don't think I can multiply 7 times 62. That's kind of a big problem. But I know that I can partition that 62 into 2 numbers that I can multiply by. So I know that 62 is 60 and 2. So I'm just going to partition my rectangle, 60 over here and 2 over there. Then what I do is I'm going to multiply both of those numbers by 7. So 60 times 7, think of my basic fact, 6 times 7 is 42, add the 0. So this part here is 420, which means it would be about 420 crackers. And this part here would be 7 times 2, which is 14. And then I need to remember to add those 2 numbers together, 42 plus 14. 0 plus 4 is 4. 2 tens plus 1 10 would be 3 tens. 400 plus no more is 400. So if I had 7 boxes of crackers, and there were 62 crackers in each box, Meg would have 434 crackers. So what we did here is we took our 2-digit number and we partitioned it. And a good way to do that, to see it, is if you do draw a little rectangle, like I did here, and then just take your 2-digit number and partition it. Put part here and the other part there. Let's practice. Get your math journal, okay, and turn to page 287. We're going to work out number 1 together. So the problem that we want to work on is 7 times 24, and we're going to use the break apart strategy to solve that multiplication problem. And we want to think of easier multiplication problems that we can use to solve it. So if I think of 7 times 24, I don't want to break apart 7. That's not going to help me. I want to break apart the 2-digit number. So I'm going to break apart 24, and then I'm going to break it into 20 and 4. I can go ahead and make myself my rectangle. This is 7, and then I'm going to break this apart because it would be 24, but I'm going to break it apart into 20 and 4. This part would be 20 times 7, which is 140. This part is 7 times 4, which would be 28. I'm going to take the totals of my two parts, 140, 28, add those together. 0 plus 8 is 8. 4 tens plus 2 tens is 6 tens. 100 plus nothing is 100. So my answer to 7 times 24 is 168. Use number 1 here as an example. You can go back to this problem, to that page or part of the video, and use that as an example also. And I want you to work on solving number 2 and number 3. Think about what you're going to use the break apart strategy on. You want to break apart the double-digit number and the double-digit number. Okay? You can go ahead and make that rectangle as a visual if you like. You don't need to. Some of us might have to. Some of us might not have to. It's totally up to you. It's what you're comfortable with. And then maybe on your whiteboard, you could solve these problems. Let's go with 27 times 3. Try 42 times 6. And 63 times 5. Try those for practice. That gives you 5 problems to practice. Number 2 and 3 here, and these 3 on your math or on your whiteboard. And then when you have those finished, do your math boxes. That's all for today. But then tomorrow for day 2, I sent home this worksheet and this worksheet, and use that same break apart strategy for these problems. So 24 times 3, I could break apart 24. So here is my rectangle, and you can do these on your whiteboard. That side is 3, this side is 24. I'm going to break 24 into 20 and 4. This would be 3 times 20. This would be 3 times 4. This is 60. That's 12. Add 60 and 12 together, and you'll get 72. Okay? So you can do these problems on your whiteboard and these problems on your whiteboard. Now listen, you don't have to do both of these worksheets in one day. You can do one tomorrow and maybe one the next day. They're just some extra practice so that you feel very comfortable multiplying a 2-digit number by a 1-digit number. Good luck.